A hot mess inside a dumpster fire inside a train wreck.
So we're walking to the queue line of the Exorcist. It's kind of giving movie theater vibes, I don't know, or outdoor movie theater vibes. There's like a whole stage set up. We're walking. It's really nice out here. It's really breezy compared to where I currently live. It's really cold up there, so loving this weather that we have here. But yeah, just vibing. Really nice breeze, but I'm hoping I'm hearing myself very well. Alright, so we just left The Exorcist. I'm not familiar with the movies. I think this one was a promotion for the one that just came out a month ago-ish. So because I'm not familiar with the movies, I can only say so much about it. I'm not someone that gets scared too easily anymore because I've been doing the haunt thing for like ever at this point. I actually enjoyed it. I think design-wise, overall, I think it was really good. There are some pretty good scares in there. A few people, lots of fun stuff. A little loud, but that's okay. It's an exorcism. But pretty good. Not bad. I didn't hate it. What I do though, not to be like a joke or anything, I do laugh at other people when they get scared just because it's funny sometimes. So we're gonna go to the next attraction, whichever one we pick. We're near the Last of Us attraction, or not the Last of Us, Stranger Things. We're near Stranger Things. We're also near the Revenge of the Mummy attraction. We're in like this section of Universal Studios, so we'll figure out what to do next. Woo! Alright, so we just left Stranger Things. The beginning was a little weak, but I think it got better kind of towards the middle. There was a whole section that we just completely missed, like an upstairs section, I think, where the Upside Down is. I'm not like the most familiar with Stranger Things. I just watched like the first 4 episodes of the season 4. I did not see 11 at all, unless she was there and I just happened to miss her, which honestly, genius on Universal's part. Defna definitely knows his way around the maze really well. Popped up in multiple places I was not expecting him to pop up at. And just moved around really, really well. I just think it could have been a little stronger. And I heard some of my other coworkers say the same thing when they went. So, but overall, it wasn't too bad. I think design overall was phenomenal. Like, especially with when they announced it, like it's 10 out of 10 for design and technical elements. And we're coming up on our next maze. We're gonna do Blood Moon, Dark Offerings. I wonder what this is, so we'll see. Coming under this super duper blind. Okay, so we just left Blood Moon. I think it was about the Salem witch trials, or like themed off of that. I thought it was about vampires at first, but it's, I think, Salem witch trials themed. And honestly, I think that's the best one we've been to so far. I mean, there were some scare actors where I could not tell if they were real or fake because they just seemed like, they looked like animatronics, like honestly. So definitely one of the best ones so far. I think we still have a few other mazes to go through. And it's not even 8 o'clock yet. So we have plenty of time and the park's open until 2 a.m. So we're in for a treat. But we're still having a good time though. We still have some rides to ride. So we're having a real good time.
I was scared.
Yes. And again, the whole, y'all know me, I love a good design element of a maze. 10 out of 10, okay? 10 out of 10 for me. Anyway, so we just left the Yeti and we're about to go into Dueling Dragons. But thoughts on the Yeti? That was fun. It was a little chilly, you know, to be expected because it's like about a Yeti.
I got scared.
We know. But that was fun. Oh my gosh. They had like 5 bears, 5 Yetis. They all just kind of stepped out, and because they're big and tall and freaky deaky. Yes, I did just say freaky deaky. Get wrecked. Anyways, they're big and tall and freaky deaky, and everyone just freaked out. All they had to do was just step out, and everyone was just like terrorized. But yeah, that was so much fun. Honestly, I'm thinking the mazes without the IP at Universal just happen to be the more fun ones. Honestly. So the maze that we're going to head to next is Dueling Dragons, which I believe is loosely based off of the ride that was retired at Universal. So we'll see. It's not exactly Harry Potter themed. It's just magic based. You know, Merlin and all that jazz. So we're going to see what the deal is with that one. Yay! Alright, so we just finished Dueling Dragons. I think tech-wise, decor-wise, definitely the best one. The most beautiful maze I've ever been in. Oh gosh, so gorgeous. Cannot say enough good things about it. Definitely some of the fire and ice actors got a little too close to people. Definitely almost got hit in the face.
Almost hit me.
Yes, definitely got a little too close. But other than that, stunning. I cannot say enough good things about it. Again, the most beautiful one here. What I find really interesting is that a lot of, like, multiple mazes share the same building. So it'll just be one giant building shared by, like, maybe 2 mazes. So sometimes, like, when we went inside of Dueling Dragons, we could hear the people from Yeti next door, which made it hard to hear, like, the opening sequence for Dueling Dragons. But, like, that's okay. Maybe crank up the volume, like, ever so slightly. But definitely one to go through when you come here. Like, oh, gorgeous, gorgeous. So, yeah, off to whatever's next. So we just left the Nightmare Dream show, and holy crap, you guys, the artistry, the amount of fire, and the what I showed you in the last clip wasn't even like the most of it. I want to know how much gasoline they went through every night. Like, that was insane. Insane. Like, I can't even properly describe to you how awesome that was. It was about a 25-minute show total. Phenomenal show. Phenomenal cast. 10 out of 10 for them. So glad that we saw it. And I hope they bring it back for next year because it was really, really popular. So we're going to try and hit up the rest of the mazes and rides in this area with the exception of Oddfellows, primarily because I don't do clowns, and so I'm not going to do Oddfellows. But, yeah, electrifying. So, wow. Wow. Alright, we have found the Last of Us over here. And then there's also The Darkest Deal on this end, which I believe is Western themed. So we're going to hit up The Last of Us first. I did not watch a single episode of this or play the game. All I know is that there's Ellie and that there's Pedro Pascal. And then Men in Black is also over here as well. So we have a lot of stuff to hit up in this one area. So we're going to have a lot of fun over here. Alright, we just finished The Last of Us. Now, as I mentioned before we went in, I have no idea about anything relating to the game or the TV series from HBO. But of the mazes at Universal with IP that we've been to so far, so that was The Exorcist and Stranger Things, this is the best one. The scares were phenomenal. Production value up the wazoo. Some folks in my party were absolutely terrified. Again, I was laughing at everything because, quite frankly, the scares don't fully bother me anymore. I laugh at everything now, which is just how I react to things. Not necessarily out of being scared, but just, yeah, everything, like details, production. I think in the game there are some spores that I think infect people, yes?
Spores, yes.
And they even had spores coming down at one point. I don't know what the spores were made of. Definitely made me sniffle. But it was a nice, like, added touch. It's the little things, especially with a maze with IP that is so specific. So again, of the mazes with IP that we've been to so far, this one was the best one. It was also like in a massive warehouse too. Alright, so we just did Men in Black. I don't know why I just thought it would be an average, first-person shooter game. No, they spin you around a lot, do all kinds of crazy things in there. But it was fun, very nostalgic. Very nostalgic, and the details on it. Chef's kiss. So now getting in line for the Darkest Deal, which is a nice little yeehaw maze, haunted house that currently has an hour-long wait without the express pass, but we have the express pass. I can also see the Dr. Oddfellow maze, which I am not about. So I am not having a great time, but that's okay. We're going to the Yeehaw Maze house. Alright, so we just left Darkest Deal, which I thought was going to be all Yeehaw Cowboys. It was not. It was more it still had that Yeehaw vibe, but more about like making a deal with the devil. Like it had soul singers who were possessed, which was actually kind of cool and a little better than what I expected. It's kind of up there with the other non-IP mazes. So, of the ones that we really liked, the Blood Moon one with the Salem Witch Trials and Dueling Dragons, based on the old ride. It's definitely up there, and I can see why it had an hour-long wait without the express pass. So now we're on our way to the last maze that we're going to go to for tonight. It's called Unmasked. So it's kind of going behind the mask of famous masked supervillains. So like, this is kind of a stretch, but Phantom of the Opera, Dr. Jekyll / Mr. Hyde, etc., etc. Really excited to see that one. It is technically IP because it explicitly named those specific characters. I don't think they're free use still. So that's IP. So hopefully it'll live up better than some of the other IP mazes that we've gone to tonight. So really exciting. Excited to hit up one last maze. We're making fantastic time because the park closes at 2. I don't even think it's 11 o'clock yet. And we're definitely trying to get our money's worth because this is probably the only time we'll go. And especially since I haven't been a guest since 2014. Having a blast. Having a blast. So we'll see what Unmasked.
I got scared.
We know.
Here's where my search for power and immortality begins. Just another legend. For the first step to becoming the most powerful being in this universe and
Hello, it is I, Editing Jay. A whole month later, because editing this vlog has made me so angry because I thought it would go one way and then it has not gone the way it would, especially with that stupid mic. Amazon failed me, but it's fine. So anyways, this section of the video is going to be a little choppy because I misspoke quite a bit. Here's where I misspoke. For anyone who's not been to Halloween Horror Nights at this point, there's a maze that Universal has. It's called Universal Monsters Unmasked. So it's talking about famous masked monsters unmasked. Specifically, Phantom of the Opera, Dr. Jekyll / Mr. Hyde, and the Invisible Man. I kept saying that they were intellectual property. They are not. Those folks are in the public domain. And if you're like, Jay, what's that? Allow me to briefly explain. Essentially, intellectual property, it's kind of similar to branding. The Last of Us is the intellectual property of the gaming studio that created The Last of Us, because the maze specifically is based on the game and not necessarily the TV show that's on HBO. Stranger Things is the intellectual property of Netflix. So in order to use those shows and games at Universal Studios, because they're not native to Universal Studios, they had to ask permission, probably pay for the rights too, at both Universal Studios Orlando and Hollywood. That's a whole hubbub in and of itself. Public domain, however, is a little different. Public domain mostly refers to works of literature, works of music, I would assume works of art as well, where you create a work, you publish it, it's your property until 50 years after you die. So once you die, it's still under your property, your estate, or your family's estate until 50 years after you pass, and then public domain is free reign. So, for example, Phantom of the Opera was originally a novel that was written in like the 1800s in France. So it's been well over 50 years since that dude died, and that goes for international too. Which is why we have the mega musical Phantom of the Opera from Andrew Lloyd Webber. And I believe there was another iteration of Phantom of the Opera prior to the mega musical, but that's why that is the way it is, and we have TV shows based on Jekyll and Hyde, The Invisible Man, etc., etc. That's also why we're getting a horror movie based off of Winnie the Pooh, because the original, author of Winnie the Pooh, it has now been 50 years since he passed away, which means Winnie the Pooh is free reign, because even though Disney did some stuff with Winnie the Pooh, created it into TV series, movies, whatever, they are not the original owners of Winnie the Pooh. It is whoever that author is, whose name I cannot think of off the top of my head at the moment. But that's IP and public domain in a nutshell, because my brain cells are not doing their thing right now. And they definitely weren't doing their thing in this video either. I was running on fumes, and so were my brain cells. So my bad. That's what I get for buying mics off of Amazon. If you have any recommendations for better mics, hit me up, because Lord knows I need them. Okay, thanks, bye. Back to the video.
We just left Unmasked. and I was a little underwhelmed. Mostly because, one, there was entirely too much water being sprayed, and it got dangerously close to my ears, and I wear hearing aids, so that was a little concerning. Two, they spent way too much time on Phantom of the Opera. Like, I get it. He is, like, the most recognizable masked character, but he was everywhere. Like, the whole, like, first half of the maze was dedicated to Phantom, rightfully so, but then he kept popping up everywhere else, and I was like, okay, cool. It was not a complete bust. There were a couple of cool stunts, but for the most part, a little underwhelming, especially with most of it being dedicated to Phantom. I like the stunts. I like the stunts. I love a good stunt. 10 out of 10 the stunts. The water, -2 out of 10. Not a fan.
Alright, so now we go to Harry Potter.
So we're gonna head.
Harry Potter.
You know how long it's been since I've been to
Yes.
Harry Potter anywhere? So we're gonna kind of waltz towards Diagon Alley. Not that I know anything about Harry Potter, but we're gonna make the most of our time here. So, yeah. Okay, we just got off Transformers, and that was probably the most aggressive 4D ride I've ever been on in my life. Mind you, the last time I went on a 4D ride at Universal was the Shrek one that used to be at Universal, and it's since been retired. I feel like one of the maze attractions is in the building that Shrek used to be in, but I can't confidently point out which one. Either way, it was very aggressive. Honestly, I felt like I had a little bit of whiplash after getting on it. So now we're gonna try and get to Diagon Alley where like all the Harry Potter stuff is. I think that's still open. I think there's a ride open over that way in Harry Potter. So we're gonna make it over there in good time and maybe get something to munch on because it's just been kind of going ham all night and we haven't really had an opportunity to sit down other than on a roller coaster or an attraction. So maybe we'll get like a little break.
I guess